All right, welcome everyone. Welcome Thrivers here on our High Thrive Live. We are going to do a really powerful live training with you guys, talking about how to get back to, quote unquote, the good old days with my spouse. I actually posted about this a couple days ago and I asked, like, what were those good old days like? And we got so many comments. And I'd love to hear from you now live. As always, we always want to make these a dialogue, not a monologue. So we will be watching the chat and the comments here. Fingers crossed that this goes well, because as many of you know, Facebook was like down yesterday, if that's even a thing. But it really was, and it wasn't working properly. So I can see a couple of you watching. Let us know that you can see and hear us okay, as Facebook is constantly changing. We want to make sure that we're able to serve you best. So I just want to ask you this right now. Go back and think about, what were those good old days like with your spouse? Think about like your happiest year, however long you've been married, the happiest time of your relationship, those really good old days. What did that look like for you? Some of the comments that we've already had is like, people would just see them for like 5 minutes and say, wow, he really loves you. Or a lot of you commented that you were just happy hanging out together, even if you weren't doing anything special, that you spent time cuddling on the couch. And that's what Ben and I do like every single night. We like to put on one of our favorite shows and just cuddle on the couch and just feel so safe and feel so secure. Kissing, holding hands again, maybe being silly, having fun, going on dates, traveling, going on adventures. You know, each of us is so different in our relationships. Like, we each have our own fingerprint, right? And so when we combine that with our spouse, it makes a completely unique union. So what did that look like for you? And again, I'll be watching the comments over here. I want to hear from you. So how good would it feel to get back to that, to get back to those good old days, right? Now, Mark and I, we're going to show you our proven path method that is, we've been testing it with over a dozen clients now, and the results have just been awesome. We even say shocking. They're so good. We've been continually refining our process over the years, working with thousands of couples around the world. And what we've seen is, a bitter, sad, cold attitude. Like, when your spouse just feels like ice. I have that kind of situation come up once in a while, that I'm the fire and Ben's the ice, right? Being turned into lots of cuddles and love again. We've had a husband who didn't want to fix the marriage, turned that around into him getting back home and her feeling those little butterflies going through her whole body again. And then, of course, we've had many affairs that almost ruined the marriage being completely eliminated. So we're going to dive right in here. And in our path method, we're going to show you 4 simple steps to get there with this new brand new path method that we've just put together. And if you've been following us, really, you see it. There were several just wins posted today and yesterday here in our group, the insane results that our clients have been getting with this method. So it's not hype, it's actual real results. I believe results don't lie. And so I always want to look to see what kind of results people are getting. So that gives me assurance that I know that I can get there too, right? So we're actually going to let most of our clients do the talking here, so you can know what it's like from people who have already gone through or are going through the program. So step number 1, Mark's going to share this one with you all, and I'll just turn it over to you, Mark.
Yeah. So we had gone over some of these things in our previous masterclass. That was last week. And this might retread on it a little bit, but yeah, the first step that we are trying to hit here is just to open up communication. The thing is, this is vitally important for, any couple that is experiencing problems, but even more so when someone is ready to walk out the door. What I find is that a lot of the clients that I work with, I sit them down in front of me. Well, not really, it's virtually in front of me for the first time, and we get into talking about what's going on. And when I really start digging deep, there's a lot of information missing as to why their husband or wife is starting to walk out the door. And so this, you know, I was saying to myself, okay, this is a problem. We need to figure out a way to really open this up. And, you know, this isn't an exaggeration at all. 100% of our clients that follow the steps here, that follow our method, are able to open up communication with their spouses, whereas a lot of times they haven't been able to get to them before. Yeah, if you can go along with this, you can finally have that real communication with your husband and wife. And I imagine that would really help you get just that much further. Even if you barely talk now, even if they're really closed off, even if they are resistant to talking about the marriage, which I imagine fits for a lot of you here. Even if it's really uncomfortable and tense, and you can hardly sit in the same room, even if they're acting a little bit cold toward you, or even if you're only able to talk about business, the kids, and all that surface level stuff. We've been able to help many couples with all of these problems here. And this is, like I said, one of the biggest, most important things that you can do. And this is why I set out certain milestones in order to get your spouse back. That first one being to open up communication, get some better understanding going. And, you know, these are just, I want to show you at least a few of the results that we've been getting with this. So Simon here has been always saying, High Thrives Coaching is helpful in understanding what to say and when to say it. And that has made a huge improvement in helping her open up and communicate with me. We have Tammy here, who says, we never had a conversation last more than 2 minutes before, and it was always business stuff and about the house and kids. And now he's shared with me more in the past 6 days than the previous 6 months. And I'm starting to see his reasons for wanting to leave, and I feel so encouraged. I can just imagine those of you out there listening right now would love to have that kind of communication. I'm seeing this even in cases where their husband or wife is not the kind of person that opens up, even when there's a lot of stonewalling, like I said before, even when there's been a lot of tension, and you absolutely need this. This is just like the first step. This is the first milestone, and because we can't really go any further unless we accurately know what the problem is. And so that brings us to the second step. Heather's going to explain that a bit.
Right. Thank you, Mark. And so I want to bring this kind of full circle. I know a lot of you saw the live stream that I did. I think it was on Monday or Tuesday. Honestly, Mark and I are like working our absolute butts off right now, preparing our new Path Live course that's launching in 2 weeks. It's insanely exciting. So I don't remember exactly what day it was, but it was Monday or Tuesday. And I came on and I talked about the tale of the 3 stories, right? Or the tale of the 3 marriages, and how those stories were the reasons justifying them leaving, right? Those are the reasons that were leading them to be stuck in the cycles of pain. And I illustrated the 3 different gentlemen. The one who wrote me the email and said, I wish I would have taken your advice, Heather. My marriage is over and I have nothing but guilt and remorse, which was crushing to hear. I really hope I never have to get an email like that again in my life. But I understand it's always our own choices. So he recognized that his story, that he's just really stubborn. No, he didn't recognize this. I was pointing this out. The story that you're really stubborn is going to stick with you the rest of your life until you change it. And it's going to keep showing up in every relationship that you have until you learn to change that story. And that's why the stories are so important. The stories that we have about ourselves and the stories that our spouse has about us. So I can see some of you over here in the comments. What is it that 98% of people don't know when their spouse is pushing for divorce or checked out? 98% of people, we've said it several times in different masterclasses. Yep, that's it. 98% of people don't know why their spouse is leaving. And so opening up this communication, uncovering what their story is so crucial to being able to work on our next milestones. And step number 2 is to buy 6 months of time. I'm going to explain exactly what that means. All right. So Mark and I in our method, we've proven time and time again that if we can slow down the process of divorce, of separation, or of distance, and gain 6 months of time, the opportunity to get our husband or our wife to fall back in love with us greatly increases. Who needed to hear that? Who has never heard that before? Who has never had that explained to them? That if we can get them to buy 6 months of time, the opportunity to fully get them back in love with you greatly increases. Does that inspire some hope in you? Does that show you the possibility? We're not saying it's going to be 6 days or 6 weeks, right? But 6 months. We're in this for the long haul. It's going to take some time. However, when we can get to that next milestone, that's the next thing that we look at, the next goal that we set for our clients. When we get to this point, this is a huge win because now we know that we have the opportunity to get the spouse back in love. And that's incredible. Let me show you what it looks like. Let me let the clients do our talking. You saw this probably yesterday or was the day before. I can't quite remember. But Dawn here shared this in our High Thrive, in our Thriving Marriage group here. Thanks to High Thrive Coaching, we restored our marriage and are celebrating our anniversary in Oahu. Look at them. I want to go to Oahu. I think I need to tell Ben that that's what we needed to do. Yes. Awesome. I'm seeing me. Good. You guys saw this. So here is Dawn, and she went through this. She got her spouse here to agree to give her that time, and now they're celebrating their anniversary in Oahu. Completely restored their marriage, and now they're celebrating. Here's JC Gonzalez. You can see the date, March 9th, just a few days ago. Win, major win. I don't know what to call it, but we finally talked about the elephant in the room. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but it says, thank you, Thriving Marriage. Without your advice and push, I would be in a world of hurt, pain, and anger. Now I see hope, happiness, and a future. So that elephant in that room, that tension, you know, that stonewalling that I am always given the cold shoulder whenever I try to talk about us, or I try to say, let's work on us, or we need to fix this marriage, right? All of that is completely eliminated when you have the right method to open up communication and then get to this next point here where you can see hope, happiness, and a future. And this is Shane, I can't say his last name, Carnes. This is a little bit a while ago, but he said, she is going to come back. She put this on my hand tonight. So wedding ring back on the fingers, and this is what it looks like in the big picture. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. So I'm gonna go back over here to Mark. He's gonna explain step number 3.
So this step right here, you can read it. I mean, it says changing their narrative. I think is probably the most important thing that well, I said that a little bit about communication, but let me explain. What I find is that just about everyone, we're not really fighting against really big problems. We're not fighting against huge issues most of the time. Certainly there are actual problems. You know, there are affairs, there is rudeness, there's little things like that. But in my experience, it's generally like something like 70% how people are describing each other, and about 20–30% actual problems that we need to solve. And so, you know, your husband or wife, they change the story that they've created about you in the relationship, and this is what we're fighting against. There's at some point where they're telling themselves, my husband, my wife is just looking out for themselves. They don't care about me. They don't love me anymore. I'm not important to them. And then they latch on to that idea, and they start reinforcing that, looking for evidence of it, until it gets to the point where they say, okay, it's all hopeless. And I mean, this is really what it's all about, is if you really want to get your spouse back, this is the step that needs to be focused on. And I think what is missing from a lot of other programs. A lot of other programs might focus on things like, okay, you know, getting out on dates, or, you know, improving communication, but it's without really addressing the thoughts, the feelings, the story that the other person is telling about the relationship. The whole point of this.
I just want to highlight real quick. We just got a comment from one member here that I'm finally changing his narrative and he is starting to see there is hope, which is fabulous. This is exactly why we must change the narrative. A lot of you are making positive changes, and a lot of other, programs and coaches and counselors will say, just make positive changes, work on you, right? And that is important. However, it's not enough, because you could make all the positive changes in the world and they won't see it when they're still stuck in their story. And that is what makes this method so radically effective from anything else out there for really creating change. So back over to you, Mark. Just wanted to highlight that.
I want to highlight, just point out another comment here. Sarah's saying that changing his narrative is so difficult, and I agree that the issues are not that bad. They could be worked through. And and I'm recognizing Sarah's name. Now, this is what we've actually done a lot with. Is I recognize that is really hard. And so this is a lot of what's going into added into this path method. I will admit, we are recycling some of the old material that we were using, but where we're adding a lot of this stuff is about shifting the narrative, because it is very important. It's about making sure that you yourself are coming from, you have a positive foundation, a positive story that you are able to come from. That it's about shifting some of the messages that you are sending to your spouse. It's about making observations. It's about helping them to see a slightly different point of view. It's a lot of things together. And, that's why we're really starting to see a lot more results with this. So,
right. I'm just going to go over here to another comment. I can't tell who it's from on my BeLive screen here, but it says, my husband seems so angry and stonewall that I have no idea where to even start changing his narrative. And that's why we go exactly back to step one, because you're not ready to change the narrative. You don't even know what the narrative is. And that's why it's so crucial that you open up communication, that you increase understanding. And that's exactly what we show you how to do. Okay. All right. Going on here.
I'm going to address one more.
Okay. This is a dialogue. You're right.
Yeah, no, this helps us explain things. So Denise is saying, I changed that, and he's still wondering if it's sincere and if it's real, which tells me that there's a step missing. When we go over the path, where it's perspective, it's adjustment, it's telling a new story, it's about hope. And so the adjustment is really about creating a foundation that could support a healthy relationship. And I can say that concern there, that wondering if the changes are real, is just nearly universal with our clients. And there's steps to take in order to make that much more solid, to really build up that trust and solidify that hope. Well, we don't want to get too sidetracked with comments, but the thing here is, this is important so that they can see the possibility of being happy with you again. They've worked themselves up. They've told themselves so many times they can't be, and we need to help them see that. Many other counselors, coaches, pastors, they totally miss this. They say, okay, well, look, if they aren't coming in and talking to us, there's no way of doing this. And for me, I'm not ready to accept that as a foregone conclusion that, okay, if I can't talk with someone directly, I can't help them change it. But the thing is, you do have access to your spouse, and that's what I kind of help you do a little bit, is help you figure out how to talk to them like, say, a trained professional like myself might talk to them. So here's Mike, and he's been trying to make changes for a long time, and he was getting really frustrated. And as he started to go through this, his wife is seeing the changes that he's made. More than, a lot of spouses can see the changes and may not believe it. And there's different pieces, different things that we need to do to affect each part. And, this is something that had to be done with Mike here, is we needed to adjust this a little bit here and there to get him over that hump, but he certainly got there.
Right. And I just want to point out here, like, if you've been making positive changes, and I can tell so many of you are, you've told us, like, I'm doing everything I can, right? I'm doing everything I can think of. I've made all the changes. I've gone to the AAA appointments, right? AA, I said it wrong. Sorry. Not AAA. But I'm just doing everything that I can think of to work on myself, and it's not working. They're still so stuck in the fact that I'm just doing it to get them back. What if they're just doing it and then once I'm back, then they stop doing it? How do I know that this change is real? How do I know that it's not a manipulation tactic, right? And they're just afraid of getting hurt again. And so just like Mike said here, he was in that same situation. And that is a very frustrating place to be. It's exhausting place to be. And the good news is you don't have to stay there. You can learn how to help him or her see that the changes are real. And as they start to increase that trust in you and open up their heart to falling in love with you again, just like they used to be in love with you, just like they used to feel secure with you, then that hope for the future, like he says, will rise. And it is working. So, awesome. All right. I'm going to go here to step number 4, which is our final milestone. So this is like the 30,000 foot view, guys, of how the process works. And I want you to see the big picture, because like Mark said, you may have 1 or 2 of these pieces in place, but you may be missing some. And when you're missing some, it's like the whole thing just falls apart. It's like trying to build a skyscraper with only 2 corners of the building. You don't have the other 2 corners, and so it's not going to stand. So that's a tragedy, because we have the solution here. Like, we know what works and we know exactly how it needs to go. So increasing hope here is where we learn to create some healthy boundaries. And this is where the magic really happens for increasing security and trust. So their whole feeling of, well, what if they just go back to the way that it was before? How do I know these changes are real? I'm afraid I'm going to be hurt again. All of those different barriers, those stories, those fears that they have. Here is where we put in some healthy boundaries, and it looks different for every single situation, but we put in healthy boundaries that then ensure that security and that trust is fully restored. We also deepen the open, healthy communication. And this is where, now that they're feeling safer with you, they have that hope, the fun, flirtatiousness, healthy talks, talking late into the night, just going on a drive just to talk with each other. I do that. I'm like, Ben, let's just go drive somewhere without the kids, because with the kids in the car, it's no fun. But let's just go talk. I just want to talk with you. Let's go on a walk. Let's just talk. And it feels so good just to be connected and open like that. And here's where we deepen the intimacy and the connection so we can feel safe, close, and happy. What would that feel like for you to have that again? To going back to what that felt like when you had that security, when you had flirtatiousness, when you had fun, when you had closeness, when you had deep conversations, or even just silly conversations again, because you just felt so at ease with each other. And again, we always want to ensure that we solve any remaining problems at their roots. And what we do here is, when we can solve problems at their roots, then we increase genuine love for each other. It's genuine, it's real, and it's lasting, and it leads to lasting change and lasting love. So here's what it looks like. Here's Andrea Moore Hart here on February 11th. Okay, not too long ago, about a month ago. Another big win. I followed Mark's advice for building trust and stopped letting my sadness and hurt show. I started focusing on victory and love, as Heather suggested, and I waited and prayed. He wouldn't really share needs or anything with me, so I figured I could at least try to show a little affection and maybe meet a bit of that need. Just a touch on the arm or shoulder here and there, but he quickly started to actually respond. Soon after I did the first marriage meditation, he started giving me a touch here or there too, and began to open up little by little. Now he is actually being affectionate again. I think we're having some real breakthroughs. So this kind of shows the beginning of the process and what that looks like. As she's going through that, she's applying the advice for building trust. She's focusing on victory and love and the mindset things that we teach, right? She went through the marriage meditation, and very quickly, he started to respond. He started being affectionate, and she started seeing some real breakthroughs. JC Gonzalez, March 9th. Oh no, I already shared this one. Dang it. I shared this one earlier. I put it in twice. So it's so good. We'll celebrate it again. All right. But it's going from that world of hurt, pain, and anger to seeing hope, happiness, and a future. It's getting back in love again. And here, Kathy Eastman with her husband, Jimmy Eastman, and this was March 9th again. So literally, what is today? I don't even know. Just a few days ago. She says, good news, my husband wants to start completely over, and he wants to work our marriage out no matter what it takes. And then she talks about how they were married for 17 years, and there was no affair, but there were some other big problems that they had to work through. But now he wants to start completely over. He wants the marriage to work out no matter what it takes. And here you can see them with their wedding rings on in this beautiful picture. So I want you to ask yourself here, really take some time and a moment just to really listen to that inner self, right? And ask yourself, do I want to buy 6 months of time so I can have my spouse fall back in love with me? Would I like to have my spouse back in love with me? Would I like to cuddle on the couch again, just like we used to do in those good old days? Have fun, even if we're doing nothing at all, just that easiness between us. To flirt, to kiss, to play. I know that is such a beautiful part of my relationship with Ben, is just the playfulness. He brings adventure to my life. He brings that fun and that spark. And have late night talks and laughing again, just that feeling of laughing and enjoying each other's company. So you're saying, yes, yes, I can see many of you saying, yes, I do want that. Yes. So in 2 weeks, like I said, we're opening doors on our brand new Path Live course. Now what this is, it's completely different than anything we've ever done before. This is not an automated course, nor is it a coaching program. It's like we are taking it's like a fusion of both. We found that a live course is much more effective than an automated one. And like we've used those in the past, and many other coaches and programs use automated courses, right? So what we're doing is we're combining our radically effective one-on-one and group coaching kind of programs in with our automated course. And that is going to be an incredible resource for you. So doors aren't open yet. We will be opening them shortly. And I will let you know you have the opportunity to get on our red carpet list, is what I named it. It's like an early bird waiting list. But red carpet, because my mom just went to a red carpet event and it was totally crazy fun. So red carpet list so that you can get in first before anyone else. And we have a couple bonuses for those that take action quickly. We're only going to have 100 spots open for this course because we really want to limit it to give you the best value possible. But we have 94,000 people in our audience. We have a massive group here, and we have 94,000 people in our email list. So just want to give you guys the first heads up that this is coming soon. So keep your eyes out for that. Now, if your heart's screaming, wait, I don't want to wait that long. I need help now. I want more help. I want you and Mark walking with me hand in hand, side by side. I want you to help me uncover what their narrative is. I want you to help me open up communication. I want you to help me change their story to change my own story that's keeping me stuck in pain. I want to become the best version of myself. I want to do it now. I don't want to wait for the live course. If that's you, then I invite you to come over to highthrivecoaching.com/apply, and you can apply for coaching with us. We just had a couple people graduate, which means that we have a few open spots for our one-on-one coaching program there that takes you through our PATH method, one-on-one with Mark and I. So I need that red carpet. Awesome. I love that. That's so great. We'll make sure that we get you the link first so you can be one of our first 100 people to join. So you can have a happy ending to your love story. Right? We talked about the good old days. We talked about how good it felt. And I can promise you this, you know, our marriage is like an ocean. Like there's the up waves and there's the down waves, but we can get back to being good again. Just because we were there once doesn't mean it's impossible to get there again. It is absolutely possible. And we want you to have a happy ending. I know you want to have a happy ending to your love story. So we thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. My heart, my love, my gratitude go out to you. We look forward to seeing you fall back in love and having your marriage truly thrive. So thanks, Mark, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you, Heather. We'll see you.